This is Yusuf at JohnTheHutDweller. I'm making this to Angie Random Stuff, and I sometimes forget. I still am very Muslim because even the way I responded to you is very Muslim because in the Quran it tells the Christians and the Jews they must go read their scriptures first, and search through their scriptures first, and find out about them and learn about them before they can come to Islam. It's funny. There was a Georgian man on here that even when I say peace to you, and I have my name, he says, "Well, were you ever a Muslim?" And I said, "Well, yeah." Um, and I get this many times because it's just culturally so seeped into me, you know. Um, so I know Americans might think, well, why did he respond in that type of way? Because that's a Muslim answer. Um, but I also want to reiterate, you'll often hear the Muslims say, well, it was normal for uh, a man of 50 years old to take a 6-year-old bride and then have sex with her at 9. Well, according to the pagans around them, no, it wasn't. And in almost every culture, it wasn't, because you don't start having sex with a child, sex with somebody until menstruation, basically. Till about 12, 13, or 14, sometimes as late as 16. And that's how it was in the medieval world. And Muhammad was heavily criticized by the pagans for this. It was seen as repulsive and disgusting. Um, the other sources I should have mentioned, besides Sahih al-Bukhari and Ibn Ishaq, is Ibn Kathir, uh, Sahih Muslim. But remember, Sahih al-Bukhari is at the top. It's they have what's called isnad chains, which is chains of transmission. Uh, but again, if you have any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer them. Again, I'm not anti-Muslim at all, but I've seen many Americans slip into Islam because they read these parts of the Quran and they don't know that they've been abrogated, and they wind up putting their hands over their ears when they hear the Orientalists or any claims against it, and or they think that, oh well, there's this idea of holy books, like the Quran is the book that came down out of heaven, and before that the Injil, the gospel, was given, so it was a book that came out of. Well, no, the gospel was never meant to be a written book. The New Testament, again, was never written for people to just read. It was compiled to use as a liturgical reading and a didactic manual in church. It was not supposed to be just read cover to cover by the laity. Actually, it's most misunderstood in that way. Uh, I mean, why do we have four gospels and not seven? Why do we have four gospels and not one? Why don't we use Marcion's canon? I mean, these are questions. Um, the most, and I'm not faulting you for this, because this is what many Protestants in America do: is they read the Bible cover to cover, which is probably the best way to misunderstand Christianity and how it came about. And as if there's errors in the New Testament, but that invalidates Christianity or the books. But they never were dictated from God. They're written by human beings. Uh, they were divinely inspired as much as John Milton was divinely inspired. They were inspired like Van Gogh was inspired. But they were trying to give an accurate record, and in some cases you have epistles that are talking to certain congregations. Well, how do you know how that's in context? Do you just read other parts of the New Testament, or do you go to the people who Paul taught and wrote down? We have Ignatius of Antioch and Polycarp of Smyrna, who were disciples of John. And then people asked him about what John said. He says, "Oh no, this is," and they cleared it up. Unfortunately, in America, the church fathers have been forgotten, and the history of the church has been forgotten. So again, I urge you to study early Christianity, because uh, Islam was not seen as a separate religion. then Christianity was seen as a heretical form of Christianity. And there are even Muslim scholars who say that maybe Muhammad didn't exist, and that it actually wasn't Islam until about the 10th century, because in the Dome of the Rock, the inscription around it only talks about Jesus being the servant of God, not the Son of God, and it uses Muhammad as meaning the praised one, not a name. It's not used as a name. And in fact, Muhammad wasn't born Muhammad, he was born Kuthum, because he was the son of Abdullah, but Abdullah died 4 years before he was born. They consider this a miraculous event, whereas the pagans of Mecca said he was a bastard child. That's why they called him Kuthum, which means filthy or dirty or bastard. So he changed his name to the praised one. Again, these are just facts. I'm not trying to say this to be anti-Muslim, but it will always be perceived that way. And yes, my life is in danger for saying it. I don't know of any other religion where you become instant target even by people who you love and they love you. Um, it's a very hard topic for me to speak about, but if somebody comes to me like you did with a video, I feel it's my duty and I feel it necessary. You should also look up Wafa Sultan, um, who wrote the book A God Who Hates. She's now an atheist, but she talks about her experiences and the trauma that she went through. And there's many more stories like this. I'm concerned for you. I'm concerned for anybody who picks up the Quran and reads it and tries to give it the benefit of the doubt instead of looking at it and saying, wait, this came 700 years after Christianity. I mean, the Quran, it even gets the Trinity wrong. I mean, how does Allah not even know what the Christians believe? These were after the councils. But even in the Quran, it tells you to go and search the Christian scriptures. I've basically been stamped as a Muslim, and I will be that till the day I die. Even though I'm an apostate. Just like Wafa Sultan will say that she's a Muslim, she's an atheist. This is something that if you're raised with, it winds up getting embedded in you. It's a part of me. I'm not really going to speak more on that, but peace to you. You have a blessed Advent. I hear that you're a Christian, so you have a blessed Advent. And take care, and I will answer any message or question. I will be extremely patient with you, no matter what.